Well, hello again, my YouTube friends and enemies, I guess. Another short talk by the Rio with the old guy, that'd be me. We're down here at the Picacho, which puts us upstream of the stink plant. Down to my left about, down that way, and another mile and a quarter, something like that. The sewage plant discharge comes back into the Rio. I hope they treated it. That part's iffy because the thing gets kind of whiffy over there, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I just wanted to show you this. This is the Rio Grande. The mighty river. Hang on. Grandes. Rio River. Grandes. Muy grandes. Check this out. So this is like probably 6 months of the year or more. This is the reality down here. I drove by Caballo Lake the other day, up north of us, and they basically almost shut it off. There's just a little water trickling out, and I don't know why they bother, but they do. And I guess there's a way down there, but look at these big old busted up pieces of concrete. I don't recall ever being right here in this area before, and I don't remember seeing those. Looks like the remainder of some kind of weird retaining wall. Huh, that's news to me. So I thought I'd go for a little walk down here today and chit-chat with you. And I think maybe I'll just leave the camera this way because at least I can kind of see what's happening as I walk this direction. But the glare of the sun on this screen is pretty amazing. So anyway, thinking about things some, I thought, there's an arc to your testimony. What did you just say? There's an arc to your testimony. And what I mean is, you'll see this in older folks, and now that I'm one of them, I see it in me also, that, and I think it's common, the arc of your testimony is that over the years, say you get to be in your 60s or something, you've accumulated enough experience and your patterns have been established so deeply and reinforced so many times that you no longer really have to consciously summon up something called my perspective. If asked, well, what do you think of this and what do you think of that? As if you have to have an opinion on every topic. What's that? Whose idea was that? But anyway, what happens is patterns emerge. And the patterns are, hey, well, that's just like Dad. He always says stuff that way. Just ignore her. I think she's crazy. Whenever she starts talking about that stuff, she can't stay on track. Or whatever it is. But it develops like a looping system where 4 or 5 major themes begin to keep re-emerging. And so I thought, well, the arc of my testimony, I thought, this YouTube series that we're in right now called Short Talks, I don't know how many times we'll do this, but at any rate, it's been fun, and I do enjoy making these. But the point being, certain themes emerge as I kind of consider what I've said over the months now. I think it was April of this year, 2023, that I began, but I'm not real sure on that. I guess we could verify that at some point. Anyway, who cares? The point is that, like for instance, all of the political stuff left, right, that now the U.S. Government is talking about trying to gain control through the FCC, through these arbitrary rules that, by the way, completely bypass and ignore and confound the Constitution of the United States of America. At any rate, this pattern of wanting to censor and absolutely control the flow of information, or at least absolutely monitor and then control. And so at any rate, it's easy to fall into a left-right pattern, a paradigm of I must be a conservative or I must be a liberal. Well, frankly, there's a third option. I am a monarchist. And the true king has claimed this world. He owns it. And he is currently running it. And the thing is that these themes of, for instance, the ownership of, I call him the guy who invented dirt. The guy who invented dirt showed up and he talked to the dirt that he had made. What? Remember, it says in Genesis, Adam was formed of the clay, and then God, the Spirit, I guess, breathed into his nostrils, and he awoke as a living soul. So out of the dirt we were formed, and the inventor of dirt showed up and actually walked in dirt himself. He came in a human body. And so he's fully God and fully man. Well, that's one of the central themes of interpreting Western civilization. The guiding interpretation of Christology as Christianly understood. In other words, the God-man. The entire good news of the scripture is rotating directly about this one man in history. He's the he's the architect at the same time. He's the centerpiece. And so it's all about Jesus, right? Then there's this other arc in my testimony that keeps showing up as I decode my own speech. And it sounds like this. Judgment is coming. All of this evil, whether politically understood or not, or misunderstood or lied about, all of it comes to an end, a screeching halt. The Messiah King shows, and evil comes to a violent and fiery end, and fully aware of the fury from on high. So, I mean, it's a terror from on high that, frankly, we cannot imagine, and I would wish that upon no human. However, upon the devils, oh yeah, whack them good. But the humans can yet be sheared off. So this is one of the reasons that we are eager to pray for our enemies. It isn't because we're so damn nice. It isn't because we couldn't possibly hold a grudge. No, we know what's coming. We know the fury from on high shall arrive certainly, and no cadre of humans and devils together could possibly hope to stand against that for an instant. And yet this is what they're gambling on. Boy, talk about a dumb idea. So at any rate, I was just thinking about how these things keep trending through my thoughts as we interpret the political news, and are we going to dilly-dally around and try to hot-foot it such we use super coded language so that you know what when you know what you know what's? Hey, how you doing? These guys are yelling at me. I guess they just didn't want to run me over. That's kind of nice, downright neighborly. But the point is, as I think about this arc of testimony in your life, in my life, in the people around us, what I think we're looking at is a spiritual war. And as best as I understand it, the world hasn't seen anything like this except maybe at Sodom and Gomorrah, possibly in the days of Noah. This kind of onslaught of evil from below. These things manifesting from below, which should have been chained there and were for thousands of years, have been loosed and summoned again and are roaming the earth. Now, the evidence of that is only indirect, but I think it's convincing. At least I'm convinced. The short version is, when we hear about a certain president or a certain prime minister doing yet another treasonous deed for profit and causing murder in the process and causing cultural mayhem for no need, so shall we say draconian measures concerning speech, draconian measures concerning whether or not you're allowed to walk around legally on the ground if you don't have this or that. Call it a medicine, call it an injection, call it something. Some legal right to restrain you in prison, right? Well, that sounds all political, doesn't it? It sounds politics. No, there's a spirit element to it. And I just wanted to say today, I like the looks of that dog. Even from here, I can tell I like him. That's weird. Huh. I'm just going to comment to the person. I guess that's a woman. I don't know. It's hard for me to tell. The gait, yeah. Yeah, look at the gait. Yeah, that's a woman. From this range, is looking against the sun isn't too easy. Yeah, so anyway, as we walk along life here, you got to be nice to the dogs. Hey, good morning. I like the looks of that dog. Clever looking rascal. Yes, so at any rate, but she didn't want any part of that. Well, once again my winning ways with women on display. Boy, I had her in the palm of my hand. Anyhow, the point being, all of this worldly ambition, all of this corruption, all of these crimes committed even against children and women. I mean, really what we have here is the collapse of what we would call society happening in slow motion. But it's speeding up now, isn't it? And it's easy to panic. It's easy to get into an eschatological end times thing. And I'm not opposed to good eschatology, but the whole point of eschatology, I hope we understand, is like creation, the single most active, utterly important, crucial agent thereof is God himself. It's about God. And in the case of eschatology, it's the case where it shows defeatingly clear there is no hope for evil. He shall thrash it and burn it down. The end. But there's a new creation coming, okay? So at any rate, as the arc of our testimony keeps wending and trending, we find that the same ideas keep popping up. Same basic themes keep popping up. And, I guess it's natural enough. But from my observations, I guess I just wanted to say today that the thing that boggles my life down so often, the thing that causes me to kind of, for instance, I haven't recorded in several days. It just wasn't there for me. I wasn't in it, so to speak. And I just kind of felt kind of disjointed and kind of floating around. And well, I did catch something. I don't know what it was. Kind of like a little sniffles thing, but boy, I was tired and I couldn't sleep. And whatever, enough complaining. That's old guy talk. And so I'm going to see a bench up here. I'm only at the most, I don't know what this is, possibly a half mile, I don't know, from the parking lot where we began this thing. And I'm already ready to sit down. How about that? Take a clue, it's an old guy. Anyway, oh boy, that left hand is going numb. Ugh. I need a little selfie stick that attaches to my head. Oh boy, now that'd be a new invention. And then you could have, got a portrait and your hands are free. Oh boy. So as we consider the arc of your testimony and mine, I think the thing that comes through is that if we consider it purely as a political thing, these problems, these crises, these pandemics, the made-up wars for no apparent gain and really only apparent profiteering by weapons manufacturers, if you'd like to know, and the growth, yet the ever more egregious growth of a single-minded tyrannical power. They're going out and they're begging. See, when you think about it, I had this idea last night. I'm going to get off track here a little bit. So this might be a new one of these trending, so maybe we should let it in the door. But I was thinking, in World War I don't know my history that well. And it's funny, I never asked my grandparents about it while they were alive, because they lived through it. Actually, I only knew my one granddad on my mom's side. My dad's mom I met, but I don't believe she spoke English. I was a little guy, maybe 4 or 5. And she, I know she spoke German. I don't recall a word she said. Now, she might have spoke English. I really wasn't paying much attention as a 4-year-old, I was just glad to see Grandma because, something new. So the thing is, the arc of our testimony here, in terms of World War I and compared to us, what's the comparison? And they're talking about World War III, so is there a continuity here? Well, the thing I was thinking about is that in World War I, we don't really have a nice, clearly described good guy, bad guy. Was it the US of A who was the good guys? Well, we hope so. Was it the Germans and their allies who were the bad guys? Well, we hope so. But there was not a single unifying bad guy leader. Like, for instance, in World War II, there was several. Italy had one, Spain had one, Japan had one, Germany had one, Russia had one, China was developing one, America had one, and during the war, Britain had one. All of these leaders emerged in this close little, and there was a certain peculiar similarity between, shall we say, Stalin and Hitler. Although Hitler is the official bad guy. If you ever want to be compared to somebody as a bad guy, you always use Hitler instead of Stalin. Well, guess what? That's a Stalinist tactic. Stalin was horrible. He's a murderer. Bloodbath. He made Adolf Hitler look like an absolute amateur in terms of killing his own citizens. Oh yeah, he's way better. So at any rate, and that's the way Marxism and Bolshevism and all that junk always works. It always destroys a society and kills its own people. It can't even feed itself. And that's what people want. That's what they're building. So you see, you can get drawn into the politics of it right away. I just did. And so we got to pull back and we got to think, now, wait a minute, this is a spirit realm, this is a spirit war. And in World War II, you had a defined bad guy. And in a way, Germany was kind of summoning him by virtue of how badly she was being treated after the Versailles Treaty. Germany was being squashed for jillions of bucks for war damages, war reparations. Well, all they did was hyperinflate their German buck. I guess it was called the heck was that thing called? Wasn't a Reichsmark. Deutschmark. I think it was a Deutschmark. At any rate, it became valueless. And because there's so darn many of them. And that's exactly what they're doing now. They're printing so many of these phony, baloney non-dollars based on absolute squat. And it's easy to get political. So, in terms of the political correctness and the censorship issue, I think that the issue is it keeps shifting out anyway. It's not about politics. It's about spirit things. But when you hear people talking about spirit, doesn't it bother you? It bothers me to hear people say, well, in the spirit I sense, or something like that. Okay, can we be a little more vague? Can we use a little more Christian lingo and double talk? What are you saying exactly? And so, in other words, it's a spiritual war. That means it isn't necessarily that I'm floating out of my body. I guess I have a freedom to if the Lord wills it. But the point is that it's not about I had a vision and I ascended to a certain realm and transcended. And if anyone talking about spiritual stuff ever uses the word around me, either frequency or vibration, I'm out. See ya. I hate it when they're talking about spiritual stuff. Well, don't you mean spirits? Quit saying Yule, y'all. Quit saying Yule, y'all. We're talking about spirits, plural, right? Many? Why not just say that? Well, spirits are by definition invisible, but they can somewhat manifest. They can manifest in our realm. I don't know how hard it is for them or what kind of tax they have to pay to do it, but that's not my deal. God figures that part out. But when we're dealing with spirits, now you're talking about entities, and a lot of these are malicious. Now, there's a cadre of angels surrounding you if you're a Christian. I believe it. He has a wall of his best soldiers around you right now, and he's expanding that circle. You are driving the dark back by your presence, by your very faith and your commitment and your ability to say so. So use your ability. In other words, this is a spirit war, friend. Don't get sucked into the political crap. It's a spirit war, friend. Yes, there is corruption. Yes, there is vile, horrible, perverse corruption. It must be dealt with, and it shall. And if man doesn't, God surely shall. There's no escaping judgment. And so for those who are mistreating children and babies and peddling drugs and all their miserable, death-dealing crap from hell, it's a spirit war, and so we're reclaiming territory in Jesus' name. We're expanding the kingdom. We're all about seeing righteousness placed here in the land where it belongs because it's God's land, and He owns it. And so it's just an outrage to Him that we've even forgotten about the idea of righteousness, much less performing it. And we call ourselves what? God. We call ourselves God's people, huh? Yeah. So when you listen to God's people and they say, in the spirit, I believe, blah, 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 just keep your filters on. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. And don't let double talk in the door just because it sounds spiritual. In fact, that's the time to bring out the Dobermans. If it sounds spiritual, you got to be extra careful, not turn off the filters. That's crazy. So there's spirits and then there's spirits. But we're dealing with individuals, but the chief individual of all, Mr. Spirit himself, the father of all spirits, has himself gotten in touch with us and is in contact with his people. This is our testimony. Jesus dwells in me. I dwell in him. I know he's alive because he's in me. And there's many other reasons. I mean, that's just one of many. But our point is that it's a spiritual ark of testimony. That's what I hope to establish. And so when you hear people saying, spirit, and they say the word spiritual, and then they start leaning into frequency and vibration. But anyway, you demand integrity from that person. Demand honesty. Can you say it in English? Is there an English translation? And so here's my English translation. The Bible testifies, I believe, in a prophetic way, and the scriptures must be fulfilled, that near the end, there shall come a day like Sodom and like Noah. And we now have evidence, I guess. There has been digs, archaeological digs at Sodom, and you can't believe what they found. It's wow. We don't know what exactly came down, but it kind of sounds like fire and brimstone from on high. How about that? Matches the equation exactly. But the point is that those places that were featuring, shall we say, this kind of serial sin, which we usually focus in on the sexual aspect. Yes, I mean, let's face it is rather egregious that in Lot's day, their version of hospitality was to gang rape a couple of angels. That was their hospitality, right? So, and thank God, he just, that was no challenge for him. But the point is that angels of light, angels of truth, there are spirits, angels of darkness. Now, we're not to summon the spirits either way, much less the spirits of human dead. We don't summon them, we greet them. In other words, in the Father of the spirits, there's a communion. The church is one people, one foundation, across earth, across time, across across denomination. And what we've got is people who've been drawn to Jesus from around the world, joining him, and then all of a sudden coming up against this hairball called modern reality, and we're getting bombarded by so much data input and words that we get dumbed down. We quit being able to file anything on the spiritual angle because everything's happening down here. Everything has to be explained down here. Everything can only go as far as here. And there is no God in the equation. There can't be. Not in the world's opinion. And so you see, so it's like the world versus the spirit. The spirit versus the flesh, sorry. And it's the world versus the kingdom. Sorry about that. But you're a citizen of a new kingdom, this world right here that I'm sitting on. Actually, it's a bench. We're pilgrims here. We're sojourners. We're just passing through. But along the way, he's already growing us in the new kingdom. We've already been planted there. In a sense, you have ascended and are seated at the right hand with the Father, with Christ. You're at his right hand. So you have a beautiful future. It's guaranteed. Trust Jesus and say so. And so, in other words, the centrality, the ark of our testimony, it keeps returning, him at center, him at center. But what this means is in our milieu, you must seek spiritual answers in order to understand the world around you. But that's the very last thing that the world will ever agree to or recommend for you, unless it's their kind of spirituality, which means they're dealing with certain known spirits, and that they would like to have you, say, traffic with. No. If it isn't about Jesus at the center, if it isn't by the power of the Spirit in you, if it isn't the Word being planted and sown deep and bearing fruits of kindness, fruits of mercy, fruits of Jesus Christ in action, here and now in our world, right now through you. See, he's building that, and he can't be stopped. He can't be rolled back. He can't be frustrated. He's moving ahead. And it doesn't really even matter whether you like it or not. He's conquering hearts. He's conquering minds today. And so be a part of it. Be on that team. And you just have to shut off the filters. I work with a young guy, and I'm not going to bring up his name, but, I mean, it doesn't matter. We sit down for a 10, 12-minute break, really, for lunch. We don't actually take a half-hour lunch. It takes me 12 minutes to eat, and he never eats. It's like, I don't get it, how this guy never eats. But he sits in that truck and boom, he's on the web. And he's looking at this weird TikTok stuff. I don't understand it. I'm just listening to it, and it's like, I don't want to see it. But at any rate, he's in it right there. He's on the screen, and that's where his world is. See, that's the trap. So once again, I'm preaching against myself. If what I'm saying is true, we've got to wean ourselves off of the web. That means turn this channel off. Go do something productive, will you? Who is this guy anyway? So anyway, short version, I'm going to wrap this up because my hand's getting numb. Oh, gosh. It's weird getting old. Sometimes that left hand gets numb, just stays that way all day. It's like, well, I guess it just wants to rest today. So anyhow, when we're thinking things over, and you know, the world's trying to tell you, hey, freak out, freak out, freak out, because we're going to have another pandemic, and the dollar's going to collapse, and the government's insane, and the president's a pervert, and I mean, whatever. And by the way, here come the nukes. Oh, and did we mention the terrorists among us? Now for the bad news. And you want to get drawn into that swamp? No, because it changes the way you think. It changes the way you process. It changes how and why you want to get up in the morning. So we got to wean ourselves off of that talking stuff. That means turn this darn channel off again. Darn it. I hope he doesn't do it a third time, please. So anyway, you guys have a good day today, and I don't want to wear you out. I know you got a life too, and hugs and kisses to all of you. You know. That was pretty emotional, wasn't it? So sometimes I think maybe you know, the idea of being, shall we say, emotionally competent to deal with people. I guess I missed that lesson in class. I hate dealing with people so often, but you know, it's like you got to deal with them because they're really, we're all one. We're all together in a way. I mean, genetically and stuff, except for what they're trying to create, this new thing, unmanned. That's this genetic mutant thing. Make it go away. Now that thing's under the curse. At the blessed children of God, they shall thrive. How can you tell? Because he said so. He never lies. And so when you tend to get wallered down and oh gosh, this world's ugly. Oh God, what am I gonna do? It's just like, why even try? Get away from everybody. Find a way that you can connect with. And I'm not gonna say the word spirit, okay? Find a way that you can connect in a place where you're comfortable and you're resting and you can breathe easily. Stretch, loosen your back. Kind of like, not a snake, but I mean, get some flexibility in your spine. Rotate your wrists and your waist and your elbows and your knees a little bit. You don't want to rotate your knees. Sorry, that'd be painful. But the idea is, and just listen to the sound of quiet or listen to the sound of traffic and ask God questions. Ask him honestly. Say, hey, sir, I'd like to know because it's bothering me and I'm scared and I don't know what to do. I'm asking for help. Go ahead and ask him and wait for a response. Don't be rude, damn it. I mean, God. It's like sometimes the response might come immediate. It might be an hour later. But it almost always comes in my life. You know, there's something in the Bible about a spirit using a still small voice. Okay, I can live with that. Sounds reasonable to me. So it's a little bit like that. In other words, a mental image or a picture or a name comes to mind, and this links with that. And oh, wait, that does fit. That's the answer. Where'd that come from? Well, I prefer to think that there's a friend who loves us. It's so much better than believing that so-called other guy that the enemy parades around, some kind of tyrant that would say, you'll worship me or else. What? Else my sanctions? Yeah. See, they have to try to copy the Father, and even that they get wrong. When you refuse to worship the Father, when you refuse to participate in believing the Trinity, when you refuse to take the communion, when you refuse church membership, when you refuse legal matrimony, when you refuse him at every turn that you can, that's not a freeing maneuver. You're not a freer person as a result of that. Think of the divorcees you've met. Just how happy are they, after all? Are they clicking their heels? And so people will find reasons to be miserable, and people will find reasons to be happy. But the centerpiece of it all is that our connection, our living connection to the Father, is a spirit connection. He's the Father of spirits, therefore he's our Father by definition. But what's happening in Christianity is we've become able to understand, Oh, you are my daddy. Oh, you're the one I've been looking for all my life. And so he's the desire of desires. He's at the center of things, and he's true. And so when you want to get watered down and worried out, and just like, man, I don't want to do this no more. It's a long haul, baby. This is no place to quit, no place to sit down. It'd be like sitting down in the middle of Sahara desert and saying, I'm tired. I don't care if you're tired, keep going. This ain't the resting place. It's up ahead yonder. And he's going to lead you to it faithfully. Whether you live or whether you die, you do it to his glory and honor. And so we're freed. We're freed now to look around us and say, you know, the real problem is the ungodliness around us. And there's one of the arcs of my theme. It keeps coming back to, it's all simply ungodliness that it surrounds us. There's nothing original about it. And so in Sodom's day and in Noah's day, great and mighty destructions were wrought from on high against all unrighteousness. And it came, shall we say, to a screeching halt. Well, guess what? This time it's coming back in person. The world doesn't know this. Here's part of the ark. Here's part of the testimony that keeps coming through. The world has never seen this. Angels have never seen this. The Almighty himself unsheathing his sword as the warrior champion himself, leading his army. Oh, now see, last time I believe when the nobody downstairs and his slaves went nuts, I believe it was Michael and his cadre that put them out, said get lost, and made them go, made them stay down here too. I don't think they're free to leave. I think they would have if they could have. And so guess what's behind this whole thing, this whole modern, political thing is this crazy, what do they call it, UAP deal. They keep trying to come up with this such that it's like, it actually makes sense that supposedly creatures came from outer space here. No, what the story is the demons down here are trying to get away into outer space. They're looking for a ticket out, and they're hoping to catch a ride on a man-made ship. That's part of what this is about. So anyway, it all amounts to nothing because at the end, the king wins. So slam dunk, there's your eschatology. Eschatology means this: don't worry. Trust him. He has the victory. So you guys have a good day, and try to get yourself some exercise too. It's a beautiful day out here.